Astrology with Mary. Today we're learning about synastry charts. So a synastry chart is to work out one of two things. One thing is whether or not you get along and you're compatible with someone. Thing two is whether or not you've had a past life with them. And that's the major part of what I'm going to be doing this evening, talking about how to be able to determine from your chart whether or not you've had a life with someone else. Now, obviously, that includes you whether or not you even believe that past lives exist. But anyway, Auntie Mary here does, and I do a lot of hypnotherapy with people and take them back to past lives. So I've got reasonable amount of evidence that these things happen, but we're going to find out how to do that in a chart today. So I'm going to screen share, and I'm going to be doing a little PowerPointy thing here, which is there. So there we go. And I'll just warm that up. So thank you very much for everybody coming this evening. We're still having a lockdown in the UK, aren't we lucky? That goes on until something like the 3rd or 4th of December. So this is the second one of some Skype Astro meetups, and this is the second one. The first one was about empty houses. They're on my YouTube channel, and there's going to be 2 more before the end of this lockdown. So I haven't quite decided what the next one's going to be. So here we go, and hopefully you can see that. So please unmic yourself if you cannot see what I'm now sharing with you, and let me know that you can't, but hopefully you can. Now, let me just move that to 100% so you'll be able to see it. So here we go. So we're learning about how to connect to charts. So what does synastry mean? The word, or the abbreviation syn, means acting or considered together, united. Astro is relating to the stars or other celestial objects, and synastry is the comparison between 2 people's astrological charts to discover connections and differences. So how do you make one? You've got to go to astro.com, which I'll show you how to do in a minute. You go to the extended chart selection under free horoscopes, and you choose the data for person 1 and person 2 and select synastry and click here to show charts. So I'm going to open up my browser, and hopefully this is all working. So we go to astro.com, and I've made in my account 2 people. I've called them Betty and Bobby, I think. Let me find them. So you go to free horoscopes here. You'll be able to watch this back again, and I've made a separate video to this as well. So you go to extended chart selection. You have to make an account at astro.com for this to work. So you choose Bobby and Billy. So we've got Bob's details, and then we're Bob's Betty. So this is Bob and Betty, completely imaginary people, by the way. I just randomly chose some dates. And under options for zodiac and houses, if you're learning astrology with me, this is a box you need to use all the time. The house system is equal. And then you go to chart type, which is under round, and you click in that box there. And you only have to scroll down 1, and it says synastry chart brackets 2. Bing! Click here to show the chart. And that's how you make a chart. Okay, so now you've got Bob's details on the inside in blue. Betty's details are on the inside in red, and on the very outside is all the signs of the zodiac. So going all the way from Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. So the signs of the zodiac on the outside. The order that they're in is determined by the first person's birth data and their ascendant. So we've got Bob's details as chart number 1, because you could reverse it. You could have Betty at the top and Bob at the bottom, but the person in the middle in blue, where it says ascendant, those signs of the zodiac will correspond with his chart. And then we've put her details on the outside. Whoever's just arrived, thank you very much for coming, but would you please turn off your microphone? Thank you. On the outside here, we've got the Betty's planets, and what we're looking for is things that are in the same sign. So that's just a quick skip. Go to astro.com to make the synastry chart. I'm not going to go through the analysis of this particular combo because it was a completely invented one. So these people don't actually exist, so it's pointless me talking about something that doesn't exist. That's just to show you the method. Go to astro.com to extended chart selection. Click to the data for the 2 different people. If you've got no data in there, you can click on that segment there, plus sign, add new person. So this little bit of the video I've also made a separate video for, which is also on my YouTube channel. So there you go, you've gone to astro.com and you've chosen your data for person 1 and person 2. With this combo, you can only do 2 charts. You can't get techie and do 3 charts. The system won't allow it. So what are we going to look for? Person 1 will be in blue and person 2 will be in red. And we need to check the chart shape. Are the 2 shapes the same? Are they clustered? Are they splash? Are they splay? What's the shapes of the 2 individual charts? Because you'll be able to see both of those. And then we check for planets and signs. And we need to look at what is in the same sign. The most important part of synastry is considering which planets are in the same sign. Which planets connect? So planets can connect via, so if you've got, I don't know how far you've got in your astrological journey, but there's different aspects between planets. There's a thing called a sextile and another thing called a trine. Those are friendly connections between planets, but you'd have to work out in your mind between the 2 people's charts which ones are doing that. And I absolutely cannot be bothered and don't. I just look at conjunctions as they have the most amount of power. So someone's sun that's in the same sign as someone else's moon is really nice. So me and my ex-husband, and I must stress now, he's my ex, he's a sun sign Gemini with moon sign Taurus, and I'm a sun sign Pisces with a moon sign Gemini. So he had my moon in Gemini conjuncted his sun in Gemini. So that's how we managed to even have a relationship to start with to produce my son. Venus to Mars is great. That's what you want to look for if you're doing astrological compatibility with a potential partner. You need to check what's happening with Venus and Mars, because that allows you to understand a bit about sexual compatibility. We're not covering that today. I'll tell you why in a minute. So which planets clash? A conjunction can be easy or challenging depending on the planet. A square and an opposition are both challenging. So someone's sun sign opposite someone else's sun sign. It's either opposites can attract or they can detract. Pluto, for instance, conjunct to someone else's moon is very challenging. And outer planets conjunct personal planets can cause more issues depending on your self-awareness, or even your partner's self-awareness for that matter. Now, I'll come on to past lives in a second, because I just want to demonstrate just what I've told you already. And we've got the synastry charts here for Queen Elizabeth. You might have heard of her. She's the Queen of Great Britain, and her son, Prince Charles. So good old Queenie's in the second there. It's in the centre in blue. Her chart starts in the sign of Capricorn. So this outside circle is going to start in Capricorn, whilst Charles, whose sun sign is Scorpio, his chart starts. Can you see where it says AC there? So that's his ascendant starts in Leo. But her chart, the way we've done the synastry, is going to start in Capricorn. And as we're looking around, which things are conjunct. And a conjunction means 2 things are together. Okay, from one person's charts, this is person 1 on the inside, to person 2 on the outside in red. So good old Queenie has her sun sign in Taurus, and her son has his moon sign also in Taurus. So we now have a bit of evidence that there was a past life between the 2 of them, and I'll explain more in a minute. We're going on from that. This is Prince Charles's sun sign in the sign of Scorpio, and good old Queenie has her Saturn in the sign of Scorpio. And that could indicate that in a previous life, Saturn is a parenting planet and the sun is a male planet, that she was his father in a previous life and he was her son. So I'll go on and explain a bit more about that in a minute. But between their 2 charts, they've obviously incarnated before. We've got a mid-range planet here and a personal planet, so Saturn. We've got her sun signs in Taurus, his moon signs right smack bang next to hers. So in that previous lifetime, she could have been a boy, he could have been a girl, it could have been friends. We don't know. The other one now, this is what I was talking about, the moon and Pluto. If I was doing this for a client or a synastry chart for someone, I would say watch out for that. So this is the Queen's moon. Okay, the Queen has her moon in Leo. You must pay attention to me. And good old Prince Charles, he's got his Pluto in Leo, which indicates her moon, so that's how she feels, will be totally overpowered by his Pluto. So I don't know how chummy they are. They sort of tolerate each other, by the way, that you can't determine much being a member of the public, but that's how I look at it. But past life wise, Pluto's a powerful planet, so just in your imagination now, you have to get a bit imaginative. That's like the Emperor of China, and this is her moon, which is a female planet. So in a past life, it could be that he was the Emperor of China and she was some little minion in his court type of idea. Okay, now you don't have to take these things literally. You can just think of them as being interesting stories that you can tell between people's charts. So how do we determine what past life people are? So the sun is a male planet, and it could be, in past life astrology, a brother, a cousin, a friend, or a male child. The moon is female. That's a standard astrological thing. And in past life, it could be your sister, your friend, or your female child. Mercury's unisex, and I always think of Mercury as being something like a wandering minstrel or a person that communicates from one village to another. I mean, you just got to get sort of imaginative with these types of things, and think also about the sign that it's in. Venus is another female planet, and it also indicates in a past life if there was a lover involved. Mars is a male planet, and again, it could be a friend or a lover. Saturn is definitely a parenting planet, and it's generally male. Jupiter, again, is usually maybe a teacher or wise person. So you just need to look up the meanings of the various different planets, get imaginative with it. There's absolutely no way of proving this unless you want to put your partner into a deep trance and then check with them whether or not they've had a past life with you. But hey, I just find it very interesting. So this is just one of my little theories. So past life people's continuing. Uranus is something weird, like a freedom-loving individual. Neptune is a psychic connection and can also indicate deception and deceit. Pluto, as I mentioned earlier, very powerful leader, power struggles. Just think of the Emperor of China kind of idea. So there can be family connections or love connections. In reincarnation, people can come back in any combo of parent, child, lover, friend, teacher. So I've just demonstrated to you Prince Charles and Queen Elizabeth. So your partner, friend, parent or child, check to see if you've had a past life with them by which things are conjunct. And conjunct in Astro speak means in the same sign. So me and my ex-husband, I'm sun sign Pisces, but my moon is Gemini and he's a sun sign Gemini. There could have been a past life where he was a boy and I was a girl and we were friends. And we were friends and we still are friends, but we're not married. Check to see if there are any challenging or friendly aspects. So as I've mentioned, the oppositions, those sorts of things are challenging. The friendly ones are trines and sextiles. But for past life purposes, you just won't need to bother with those. You just go conjunctions. So knowing that you have challenging aspects, what can you do to improve things? That's a rhetorical question. There's no absolute answer to that, but I just think that's something for you to be able to think about. Okay. So I've included how to look at your chart and your partner in my book, The Astrology of Lovers. And there's some links that I've put into this so that you can get to read the book, eBay, it's not eBay the book, you can read the Kindle book, the paperback or the ebook. It's also been produced as an audio book, and I've put links to be able to get to the audio book there. It's available on quite a few different shopping places, and that's how you do a synastry between two people's charts. But for love purposes, I'd suggest that you get my book, The Astrology Lovers, and that'll give you more details. But tonight, what we're discussing is past lives. So I'll just close down the PowerPoint, and I hope you found that interesting. And we'll just unshare the screen. Bing. Now, did that make sense? You can unmic yourselves, by the way. Has anybody done a synastry chart between themselves and someone else and brought it along for this evening? Because I can screen share that, or you can screen share it. Has anybody brought one along?
Yeah, I've got one with me.
So Mary's got one. Who was the other person?
Leah.
Leah. Okay. So Leah, if you want to, can you stick your synastry chart into?
Yeah, hold on.
Stick it in the chat box, and then I'll screen share it.
Okay. Should I should I screenshot it then, or
No, just stick it straight into the. Is it on your desktop?
It's on Astro on the browser. Actually, yeah, I can drag it. I think. Let me just try one sec.
See if you can drag it. You should be able to right click it, save it to your desktop, stick it in the chat.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
So we'll look at your combo and we'll look at Mary's, and that'll probably be all we'll have time for as other people's synastries, but we can definitely answer questions. Okay.
Where is the chat icon here? Okay.
Excellent.
It's hard for me to look at the synastry charts, like, because the second person is flipped, so their ascending is over here on the other side, and it's just, it feels really foreign.
Yeah, it's the weirdest looking thing. Let me just save that to downloads. So I'll demonstrate, Christy, again how that works, because you're not looking at the two charts independently, you're looking at the connections between them. Okay. So let's have a look at layers, and it's gone into my downloads somewhere. There we go. For Dumpf. So let's open that up, and I'll go back to screen share. La 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 la. We're sharing. There we go. So Leah, tell me, who's this between you and who?
Like a love interest.
Love interest, yay.
Yeah.
Okay, are you on the inside in blue?
I'm the red.
You're the red on the outside. Okay, right.
Yeah.
I'll make sure that I don't show his name because he probably doesn't want to be included.
Oh, yeah.
Onto my YouTube channel. Okay, so
No.
This is you on the outside and him on the inside. What's the potentials? Oh my lord, there's a lot going on. Right. Okay, so you yourself are sun sign Aquarius, so we've got that details down there. Mm-hmm. So Christy, what we've got is we've got person 1 on the inside in blue and person 2 on the outside. Forget about ascendants and all of that. All we're looking at is which things are in the same sign. So this person that you're looking at, Leia, is reasonably the same age as you because they've got their outer planets not too far away from yours. So this is your sun sign. This is their sun sign. You need to look at what's in the same sign. So he has something, so this is you, you've got Mars in Libra, and he's got, so you've got Mars in Libra, what's he got in Libra? I don't know if he has anything in Libra, he's got Moon in Virgo. He's got the true node, okay, so that's the North node, that's it's not a planet. The North node is where we aim for in this lifetime. However, having said that, your North node does conjunct exactly to his Mercury. So I'll speak English there. So North node is where you need to aim for in this lifetime. You've got your North node in the sign of Virgo, is that right? North node, Virgo, yeah. And then Mercury in Virgo. So you will find talking with this person easy. Now, whether or not that's a past life, I don't know, because that doesn't take a planet into account, You've both got... don't worry, Rita, you'll be able to listen back to it. I've recorded the whole session. Don't worry. You've both got Saturn in the same sign. Okay. Now
I wrote that down just now.
Yeah, now that's a useful thing. If you were to have a relationship with this person, now we're just talking about romance now, not past lives. If you have a romantic attachment with someone whose Saturn is in the same sign as you, you will agree to bring the children up in the same way because Saturn is about responsibility. Now, obviously, everybody born in the same year as you at school will have their Saturns in the same sign. So that's helpful when you marry someone, because my ex-husband and I are born in the same year. We've never disagreed on how to bring our son up. We've disagreed about being together, but we haven't disagreed on that because Saturn is a parenting planet. As far as compatibility goes, I'm going to give you a low rating on this because he's an earth sign and you're an air sign. That makes it more complex. His ascendant is Leo. which is nice. And you've got a Saggy ascendant, so that's helpful.
Oh, his is Sagittarius.
Oh, sorry, the other way around. Beg your pardon. Yeah, he's in the ascendant. Yeah, so he's got a Saggy ascendant. You've got a Leo ascendant, so that's good. But in the long term, you might find, because you're Aquarius and he's Virgo, that, yeah, it's a bit more tricky because he's Earth and you're air. Yeah. You then need to look at the moon signs as well, because he's a double Virgo. So he's born at the new moon. So if your sun and your moon are in the same sign, then you're born on a new moon. And you've got moon in Gemini. And so your moons are going to be square to each other. So that's another tricky thing. And there's a hell of a lot of stuff going on here. Look, there's all these oppositions and
there's a lot of Pluto conjunctions. I think there's like a Sun Pluto conjunction and a Moon Pluto conjunction as well, or like opposition or something when I look into it. There's an opposition,
yeah. So you've got your moon is opposite to his Pluto. So again, that's a bit sort of tricky. Absolutely.
How come it's challenging? What does it mean in a sense? Is it just differences in opinions or?
Differences in opinions. You're definitely going to get a lot of that. Because your Mercuries are in incompatible signs. So he might say something, you might misunderstand it. Yeah. And then you'd have to take each chart separately. But it's not a high rating. It's not horrible. It's just that he's an earth sign and you're an air sign. And after time, what happens with earth signs that are with air signs, the air signs are going too fast for them because it's a faster speed. Now, that doesn't mean to say that every relationship that's ever been that combo is never going to work out. It's when I say challenging, it's just, it doesn't flow. I'm a water sign and I'm now married to an earth sign, and that's a much more compatible thing. We're not arguing about the other thing. I don't think we even argued today about the dog running and all the dog poop. He was a bit grumpy, but you would agree on the children, that, you know, how to bring the children up if it ever got that far. And the other thing you have to remember, and I've put this in the astrology of lovers, if he's not interested in you, don't go there. Okay, so unless he's running around your house with flowers in his hands, it doesn't matter how much astrology you use, it's not going to make him fall deeply and madly in love with you. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to tell you that, but men, when they're interested, you can't miss it. If you have to coax a man to be interested in you, it's not going to happen. And that's just a general, regular heterosexual male-female thing. It's different in homosexual relationships and in transgender. It's a slightly different combo. But in a heterosexual relationship, if he's not interested in you, having to coax him or sort of attract his attention, it's a quick way to disempower yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's some things in there that you can work on, but all I can see is the initial attraction, which is the ascendants being in fire signs. So while you're...
Yeah, I listened to your podcast on that.
Yeah, while you're meeting each other, those first few meetings will be incredibly interesting. But as you get further into understanding who is, and I've got in the top of my mind a relative of mine who's an Aquarius who has 2 ex-partners that are Virgos. So just from my own personal experience.
Yes. I was going to ask, because I've got a 6th house stellium in Aquarius, and the 6th house is ruled by similarities in that sense, where he's got a lot of Virgo, obviously. I don't know if that relates, but
yeah, you can take that into account as well. But as I've said millions of times, if you've got to coax someone and pick their chart to bits, that's not how relationships work. The best way is that he's so interested in you, he's texting you all the time. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But I hear what you're saying. It does help things. It's best that you just relax into it and see what happens. Yeah, I'm not writing it off altogether. It will be more tricky. You need to get him to be interested in you, not the other way around. Yeah, but there are some things going on there. Okay, darling. So Mary, you're welcome.
Yeah, I put it in the chat. You should see
Excellent. Let me just grab that. And this is you here. So just download. So this is you and who?
My husband.
Okay, let's have a look. Right.
I hope it works.
gone to downloads. That should be you there. Let's have a look. Bum, bum, bum. And here we go. Right, zoom in. There we go. Now then, so where are you?
Pisces sun. So I'm the inner.
You're the blue. Okay, so
Yeah, the
this
blue.
is Mary on the inside, and this is hubby Taurus on the outside. Well, you've got a good combo there already, Pisces to Taurus. I'm a Pisces, I'm married to a Taurus, but this is my second marriage, so we already know that works. The moons are good. You've got air sign moons. So you've got moon in Libra, he's got moon in Gemini. We got a little bit of a tricky bit there with Mercury being in Aquarius and his being in Taurus. So you might not always understand what you're saying to him because those are actually square to each other. But let's have a look a little look around, see if we've got any past life stuff. We've got some things going on here. But this is your Chiron. Don't really want to have a past life Chiron thing. We've got a Venus to North Node again. Did it feel like you knew him before when you met him?
Yeah, I met him. It was honestly like a love at first sight thing. I ended up moving from New York to Massachusetts after like only a few weeks at like 22 years old because we were like instantly very attracted to each other.
That's your ascendant. You've got ascendant in Saggy, yes, and he's got ascendant in Aquarius. Is that right? Yeah. That'd be initial attraction. That's fire to air. Goes really well. I don't think you've had any past lives that are human lives because we haven't got any outer planets that are conjunct. We've got, this is in the same sign, but it's not conjunct. So this is your moon in Libra and his Pluto in Libra, but you've got a Pluto in Libra yourself. Anyway, that's what happened with Elizabeth Barrett Browning and her husband, Robert Barrett Browning. They had their Plutos in the same sign, but his Pluto got nearer to her, I think it's her moon, could have been, I can't remember off the top of my head, but they're in the same sign there. So you just need to be aware, sometimes you can feel a little bit overpowered by something to do with him. So this is how you feel here. This is his Pluto, they're pretty close together. I see that
you know what's interesting, Mary? I have a very volatile relationship with his mother. I feel that I've definitely had some sort of past life experience with his mother.
Right.
And it's interesting where the moon is there. I wonder, might that have anything to do with her?
Your moon to his Pluto or his moon?
Well, just because doesn't the moon represent them? I mean, I guess that's my moon, so forget it.
Yeah, it's your moon to your relationship to your mother. You need to grab her chart. It doesn't matter if you haven't got a time of birth, just lob her planets in there and do a synastry. Make sure you use equal house if you're going to be chatting to me because you've got Placidus there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'll let you off.
Yeah.
But we've got the Chiron thing because you're similar in age. I mean, you're born in... So where are we now? 1980 versus 1983. So there's only 3 years between you. So your outer planets are in similar signs, but your Saturns are being different signs. Yeah, so there's going to be some disagreements about the children. Do you have children?
Yes, 2.
Yeah, so there's going to be, disagreements about. It's not the end of the world. I mean, I haven't got the same Saturn sign as my husband. We don't have children, but we do have a dog. And we don't always agree on that. And so your Chiron is very conjunct to his sun sign. And if you're going to include Chiron in past life, Chiron's the wounded healer. I wouldn't know what that would represent as a past life image. I don't know, something sort of tragic and sad. And then this is his sun sign. So be aware that your suffering, so this is your chart in the center here, can be activated just by his existence because he's sun sign Taurus, but that's not going to ruin your relationship. I don't know what house that turns up in. It'll probably be in 6th and equal house, probably. But it is pretty close, so just be aware that occasionally he can spark certain things. But overall, as far as sun signs and moon signs go, and we're talking about compatibility, that's all lush. The moon signs are great and the sun signs are great. Your only tricky bit is your fact that you're Mercury. That's square to his Mercury. So be aware of what you say to him. He might not hear what you say. It might be better to write it down or text him.
Yeah, that's good advice.
Okay, so let's come out of screen sharing. And we'll turn that off. Now, I hope that's made sense. We'll do some more questions here now. So turn your microphones back on and just hit me with your questions. Or you can question each other. It doesn't have to be me. If you want to speak to somebody else that's in the group, go ahead. Remembering, of course, that when you're making the chart, you can do both combos. So you can look away with you in the middle, and then you can turn it around and you can do the other person in the middle. And it's quite a nice thing to do if you've got children. I mean, I've only got one child and I've done it with mine. But when I work with clients that have lots of children, I was working with a lady the other day, and whoa, there was so much going on between her and her kiddies. You just sort of, sometimes you know that someone's part of your soul group because you've got a moon sun thing or a Venus Mars thing. You know that they're somebody that you've met before. There's just this sense of, which you can have when you have a child, and sometimes you don't. It's quite individual to the person. But with Prince Charles and Queen Elizabeth II, you called it the first there, they've definitely been part of each other's soul circles because there's some stuff going on between their charts.
What if your Venus is in the same sign as his Mars?
That's sex all the way. That's it's called a Venus-Mars conjunction, and it's something that astrologers get really excited about. So if in a girl's chart, her Venus is in the same sign as her partner's, in a girl's chart, if her Mars, beg your pardon, is in the same sign as the man's Venus, then that's a really nice combo, because her Mars is expecting to have whatever it is. It can work either way around, Venus to Mars, but it's a nice thing to have a Venus and Mars conjunction, because those are the two sex planets, Venus and Mars, and we're going to be honest about it, that's what they represent. And if you've got that as a conjunction in the same sign, then you're going to enjoy, whatever it is in the same way. Doesn't mean to say that you can't have a relationship if it doesn't. Those things can still happen. But it's a better thing to have a Venus and Mars conjunction if you can manage it. But it's a pretty thing to, not a pretty thing. It's an unusual occurrence. It doesn't always happen. It's nice when it does.
My Venus is in Leo and his Mars is in Leo.
Nice. Doesn't matter which way around it goes. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. It's just that in a girl's chart, the sign that her Mars is in is what she's looking for in an ideal bloke. So I've got my Mars in a really weird sign. I got it in Aquarius, and all I ever got interested in was blokes that were completely unsuitable for me and a bit weird and wonderful, and wasn't compatible with my sun sign at all. But then I hit lucky when I met my husband, because his Mars is in the sign of Venus. So yeah, it works out. I've got Venus and Mars in Aquarius, by the way. But don't worry about it being yours to his. It's just a good combo between those two planets, because they're close planets. They're not as close as the moon, but their Venus is about attraction and Mars is about action, aggression and energy. And if we talk about sexual energies, then Venus and Mars being together in the same sign's lush.
Okay. Yeah. Our sun signs are the same too. We're both Virgos. I don't know what that means, but
that's good. Yeah.
I'm probably a little behind everybody that's in here.
No, don't worry. No, we've got some complete beginners as well. Don't worry. Dating your own sign has a positive and a negative. The positive, it feels as if you've met someone that completely understands you. I've done it twice, dated my own sign. The downside to it is, what relationship do you have with yourself? If your relationship to your own sign isn't so fluffy, dating someone who is the same sign as you can be a challenge. But again, now when we're talking about synastry for love, which is in the book The Astrology for Lovers, you have to take into account the ascendants, you have to take into account the moon. You cannot just say the two sun signs, because you could have somebody maybe that's a few years difference in age to you, or has got their Mercury in something that's compatible with you. So take all of it into account, not just the sun sign. The two sun signs together that don't work, two Geminis together, I've not seen it often. I don't know if there's anybody here that is a Gemini that's dating or married to a Gemini, but I don't actually, and I've been in private practice for a long time now, don't know anybody who is a Gemini married to a Gemini. I'm not saying it can't happen, but it's a little bit more rare because you'll have 4 people in the room because you've got 2 twins. What other combos have I seen that's a bit more challenging? And it also depends as well what sex the person is, because I always think of Aries as being quite a sort of a male sign. And if girl and then your parents are both Geminis, well, there we go, Becky, so thank you, I stand totally corrected. There are some that is in existence. Do they get along? You can talk in the chat if you don't want to turn your camera on, Becky. Oh, they're divorced now, right? Okay. Just about explains it then, doesn't it? It's what was the other combo I thought was, 2 Scorpios together, the love or hate. So I know a lot of Scorpios that are dating other Scorpios, and they either stay together forever or they're together for a certain amount of time and they basically nearly kill each other. So that's another one that's a bit tricky. And I say I'm a Pisces and I've twice dated Pisces. My first love was a Pisces, and it didn't last. And the second time was a Pisces, but he was an alcoholic, so that was a bit of a downer. So if you're a double-bodied sign, which is Libra, Gemini and Pisces, they're the double-bodied signs. It's a bit more tricky to date your own sign because there's more than one entity involved, especially 2 Libras together. I've seen that a few times. That bounces all over the place. Sometimes it's okay, but yeah. Two Libras together. I don't know if anybody here got 2 Libras going on. I don't know. Do I know anybody that's still married to a Libra? Don't think I do. And obviously the elements work. So if you're an earth sign and you're dating an earth sign, that's lush. If you're an earth sign dating a water sign, works. If you're an air sign dating a fire sign, works. If you're an air sign dating an air sign, works. And fire. So your own element works with someone else. But you'll be amazed what relationships people have. They've got totally weird combos. And I did a whole radio show once on BBC Radio Bristol, and people were phoning in and giving me the birth date, and I had the laptop next to me and quickly putting their data in. And they're going, we've been married for 50 years, and I'm putting it in. I go, really? So it depends what you want out of a relationship. I think these days, like as in everything from sort of 1970 onwards, people want a bit more out of a relationship. They don't just want to have someone to have children with. They want to have a soulmate connection. And that's more of a yearning, I think, for people. They don't just want somebody to hang about with. Back in the day, in the Middle Ages, you had to marry somebody, otherwise you starved to death if you were a girl. You needed a bloke to provide for you. That carried on for quite a long time, actually, up to the turn of the century almost. But now we've got more choice. So people are looking for a little bit more. But to make it, but for a relationship to be lasting, it certainly helps to be with a compatible element. So air together, earth, water, fire, or air, fire, water, earth. That's the ways that they go round, or at least the ascendants or something. And the thing that I thought with this radio show, none of these people knew what time they were born. All they could tell me was their sun sign and their moon signs. All I could determine was the sun and the moon and the Mercury and West of it. I didn't know what the ascendants were because I had no idea when they were born. So I can only presume that they must have had really compatible ascendants. Otherwise, they just couldn't understand how they were together. There was like a Capricorn and an Aquarius. There was what was the other combo? There was a Scorpio. There wasn't 2 Scorpio and a Gemini. How did that happen? But Scorpios to a Gemini, Scorpio is really, really interesting. And they've been together for ages, this couple, and they've got loads of kids and they were happy. And I was quite surprised. It was quite an eye-opener. I suppose in the astrological circles, people tend to have understood astrology so much. They don't make weird combos. But your average member of the public, yeah. You can have a relationship for any reason, share a job, share an interest. So how you can meet someone.
Is a Virgo attracted to a Pisces and vice versa?
Yeah, they're opposites. can do.
Because it sounds like that would be a relationship that would not fare well, because a Virgo is so meticulous and Pisces is, you know, so not worried about the things that Virgo's worried about. It makes me think, well, how in the world would those two, you know?
I do actually know some combos of Virgo Pisces. I don't know how they manage it. Yeah, it's a strange thing. Hold on now. I've got some in the family. I've got, not my family, but my in-laws. I've got a combo of that, Pisces to Virgo. They've got the same ascendant and they have the same moon sign. And that's, yeah. So they've both got the same ascendant and they've both got, so he's a Virgo, who's born in the new moon. And he's got moon in Virgo and she's got moon in Virgo and she's the Pisces. So that's, and they've got 2 kids.
Okay.
Yeah, so there'll be other things that, because we can't just take sun signs. I mean, you can do sun sign astrology and that's all lush, but we do need to take the moon into account, because in a girl's chart it's really important. The moon is how we feel.
Right.
You know,
so
and you
my
need to
moon is in Aries. Does that mean that I would be attracted to an Aries?
Could be. Yeah, could be. Or somebody with Aries bits, you know, like an Aries ascendant. You've dated some Aries in the past, have you?
Yeah, I dated a guy and he was in Aries and my moon was is in Aries, and his rising sign was Virgo and I'm a Virgo, and we were like 2 magnets to each other, but it turned out to be a bad, you know, he had a Scorpio moon and his Mars was also in Scorpio, and so he ended up stalking me.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, that's not a fluffy combo.
Yeah. While it was good, it was great. But when I had to get out of it, it was bad.
Absolutely. Yeah. We got to be careful about making sort of sweeping judgments about combos of things, because even people with really difficult aspects, sun signs and whatever, you just don't know, you know, they can stay together and be together for absolutely millions of years and everything's fine. You know, so people say this sign does this and that sign does the other. That's a bit too sweeping, because it's not just the sun sign. We've got to look at the whole chart. Yeah. Because there's so much more that's in a chart as well. And even then, the chart is just a moment in time and it can represent the person. And are you living all of your chart, and are you living the best of your chart? It's a rhetorical question, not you personally, Christy, but you know, are you living all of your chart, or are you sort of working against your chart? And I like to think, if I'm working with clients, I'm helping them live their chart so that they're really enjoying the chart that they have and getting the best from it. Because we can work against the chart. I mean, I worked against my chart for bloody years until I discovered astrology. Like, oh, I've got a sun moon square, I need to do something about that. It's not my mother that's the problem, it's me with the problem with my own emotions. That was the biggest realization for me in discovering astrology. And then my relationship with my mother absolutely improved. So learning your own chart and learning it well, then you can understand, you know, how can I keep this bit of my chart happy? How can I keep my Mercury in whatever sign it is happy, so I feel heard and understood? And then taking into account transits, we've got some whopping transits. We've just got some transits coming up. So Saturn and Jupiter are just about to go into Aquarius. So that's going to be interesting. Have we got any Aquarians here this evening?
Yeah, I am.
Leah, who else?
Rising Aquarius.
Elizabeth, lovely. Anybody else got any Aquarius bits? Any Aquarius moons going on? Anybody got moon Aquarius? No. Aquarius ascendant? No.
I only know like one person that is an Aquarius. Like, is there a shortage of Aquariuses?
No,
I'm
No.
serious.
I don't think there's that many.
No, there are certain signs of the zodiac that are more born. The sign of the zodiac, the 2 signs of the zodiac that you'll get more of than any other sign, and it was Donna Cunning that did this on her blog, is Cancer is the most born sign, and Virgo is the second most born sign.
Really?
Absolutely, yeah. So you can console
My
yourself.
husband's Aquarius.
There we go. Got another Aquarius.
My
Lovely
husband
jubbly.
is Aquarius.
And
Your
I'm a
husband's
Libra, so
and yeah,
on paper that works.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, you're both air signs. Yeah. But don't forget though, Libra's the sign that hates to argue, but it's the one that will start the argument.
Yes.
That's pretty funny.
Every time, and then I hate it, and then I cry.
That's
I've got
it.
Pisces moon, so then I just cry. But I can't help it because I've got a Mars in Leo, and I just get aggy.
Yeah, gotta go for it. Absolutely.
But interesting what you're saying, because my ex was Libra, and we were born 4 days apart.
Oh my Lord! So you had different moon signs then?
Oh, do you know? I don't know. I've never looked at his chart
Yeah,
actually,
it will be
because
it takes 3 days for the moon to change sign.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, but no, that was great when it was good, but oh no, it was bad at the end.
Yeah, it's because what will happen when you date your own sign, it's great if you're in therapy and you've got a therapist to talk about it every week, but your sort of worst fears will manifest themselves. So you just need to be so aware of your own chart if you're dating somebody else that's the same sign, and you need to understand their chart as well and from their point of view. And that's why Synastry is useful, because you can see the connections. But understanding astrology opens up a door of being able to understand everybody else that's in your world. You know, like, why do I not get along with my brother, or why do I not get along with my sister? Stick your two charts together, see what's, because in families, I mean, I come from an enormous family, there were 5 of us, and some of us would get on with others and others wouldn't get on. And then when I did all the families' charts, it was like, oh, that's why, you know. It makes it
I find it really interesting to do colleagues as well.
I
sometimes put colleagues in. Yeah, when someone's being like, you can't quite understand where they're like coming from. I find it really fascinating. If you don't always know their birthdays, but you know.
Yeah,
I find it really
yeah, absolutely.
If you're slick, you can get them though.
Yeah,
exactly right.
But no, definitely do Synastry charts for people that you work with. Do their chart. If you're working with somebody, find out what sign their moon's in. That's sometimes more important than the sun sign, because the moon is the bit we don't show others until we're upset. So you need to basically feed someone's moon sign. So in case you haven't guessed, I've got moon in Gemini and I like to chat. Really, Mary? Do you like to chat? You know. So as long as my husband knows I'm sat in here for an hour and I'm going to be yakking, he knows I'm happy for an hour. So there we go. He doesn't have to listen. So if you're working,
what's your husband's moon?
I'm going to have a think now. Sagittarius, opposite.
Okay.
Yeah. But if you're working with somebody, so as you're working with somebody who's got, I don't know, an Aquarius moon or whatever, you need to make sure that you find out about friendship. Or if they've got a Scorpio moon, you know, you need to make sure that you don't lose their trust, that you don't blabbermouth to everybody else in the office what's going on. It doesn't matter too much with the sun sign, because they'll understand that. But somebody's moon, you don't, if you're working with someone, that is, it's much helpful to find out their moon sign, because that's the one we all of a sudden will just like pop out. You know, it's a bit more difficult. The sun is the ego, so it's our conscious self, but the moon's the subconscious, and you can trigger that in somebody pretty quickly if you're not careful.
So Mary, can I ask what you just said?
Sorry, that was Elizabeth, yeah?
Oh, I was just wanting to ask about, I apologize, I was having to go back when you were talking about past lives and having the conjunctions. Is that between 3 to 5 degrees as a conjunction? Does the degree matter in a Synastry chart? So my husband's Mars is 23 Scorpio, and then it's on my midheaven, which is 22 Scorpio plus my Venus and Neptune. So I didn't know if past lives only had to do with personal planets, or if it's also with Neptune, or like a Saturn-Uranus conjunction, if that's a part of it.
Saturn, and when you get to 2 outer planets together, it's more a group thing than an individual thing. So you could then say if somebody's Saturn was conjunct somebody else's Uranus, just an example. So Saturn's a responsible parenting planet, Uranus is some sort of wild freedom type of thing. Then you could say that person had an association with that energy, but it might not be a personal thing. Yeah, as you go further out the planets, it becomes less personal. And those types of things in past life sessions, people, because I've got clients I've done lots of past life sessions with, and they've come back and it's a different lifetime now, and they're in a different sex. You know, they're a girl this time and they were a bloke last time, or they were a child, or they were this or they were that. They're different colour, different race, different place, everything. But you'll find if you do it regularly, or even if you do it yourself, if you want the hypno track that I've got on my website for it, ping me over an email, remind me, and I'll let you have it. When you do a past life session, you can have more than, you might find there's people that are part of your soul group. So I've had a lady in a second lifetime that we did with her. The person that in this lifetime was her husband was a totally different combo, but had still appeared, but the whole dynamic was different. But yeah, the outer planets, it is a connection between the planets. To the midheaven, as far as I'm concerned, is past life, no. Synastry and compatibility, yes, because the midheaven is the highest point in the chart. It's to do with our career and where we go. Someone else's planet conjuncting that will affect our work, okay, how we're seen at work. So say, for instance, if someone's sun sign falls onto your midheaven, they might help you with your job by, I don't know, being nice about it. My husband's a Taurus, I've got midheaven in Taurus, he's helps me by making the dinner, whatever. So yeah, in answer to your question, you don't worry about missing it. I've recorded it, so you can go back to it, and there is a video on how to do it as well, to do the synastry thing. Does that help, Elizabeth?
Absolutely.
There was somebody else that just started to speak when Elizabeth was talking.
I was just going to ask what you had to say about somebody that has Neptune in their first house.
Neptune in the first, okay, right. So my best friend, my husband, one of my sisters, have got Neptune in the first. So Neptune in the first, depending on what sign it's in and how near to the ascendant is, you need to be aware of other people, because the first house is other people, how other people see you. It's near the ascendant, how you put it out to the world, can misunderstand you. They can have an illusion of you. So the sister that I have that has Neptune in the first house told me, because she's into astrology, that sometimes people, I won't tell you which sister it is, but I've got loads, that sometimes people get this romantic idea of her that isn't who she is, because Neptune will fuzzy things down, and so if Neptune's very near the ascendant, it's a very sensitive planet. It's like having a little goldfish right near to the center of, the water, and like that. So Neptune near the ascendant or in the first house is extremely sensitive, depending on what sign it's in. So you need to take into account that person's sensitivity. If it's further down the first house, like I've got Pluto in the first house, but it's almost, I don't know, it's not quite conjunct my ascendant, so don't upset me, otherwise it'll activate with Pluto. But Neptune in the first house, if it's not too near the ascendant, it's about 5 or 6 degrees away. It won't ping up all the time, but you need to be aware that Neptune's the planet of psychic connection. Deception, delusion. Don't worry, Leah. As deception, delusion, illusion, that type of stuff. So you need to make sure that when people do meet you, that they meet the real you. They might meet the imaginary you to start with, but eventually they get to know who you are. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So basically, was your sister saying that she gets hit on a lot?
Almost every day of the week.
Okay. Because this person that I was asking that about has Neptune at 28 degrees, and he can't leave the house with, it's a constant, all the time. And I get a little irritated because I don't know, does he know he's sending out that vibe? Because I know better than to send out that vibe. If I'm conversing with somebody at the store or, wherever, I'm a Virgo. I'm not sending out, hey, I want to do this with you, or whatever. Yeah. Like, I'm pretty much all business, or whatever. I mean, I'll smile and be nice and warm and chatty, but, you're not going to get some sexual innuendo, or whatever. With him, it's like every day. And
what sign is his Neptune in?
Well, I don't know I don't know what his birth time is. So, but Scorpio, Neptune was in Scorpio. So that's what it's coming up as, that his rising sign is Scorpio.
Okay. So you don't know his time of birth, you won't know his rising sign then?
Right. But if Neptune was in Scorpio and it's a matter of fact that it was at that time when, you know, when he was born, would that not make him a Scorpio rising?
No. The rising sign's determined by the time of day you're born. It could be any planet that's in your first house. I was born at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I got Leo ascendant, even though my sun sign's Pisces. Okay. But if you know for sure the person's time of birth, for him to have, if his Neptune's in Scorpio, he'd have to have a Scorpio ascendant. If he's a Virgo, I've got to work that out in my head now. Hold on. He'd have to be born at whatever time of day. Hold on, let me have a quick look. So if he's got... Right, so he's a Virgo, and for him to have a Scorpio ascendant, he'd have to be born approximately really late in the day. Is that right? Scorpio ascendant, yes. So he'd have to be born really, really late in the day, like 10, 11 o'clock at night, to then have a Scorpio ascendant and be sun sign Virgo, depending on where in the world. But the Neptune thing, yeah. I wouldn't say there was a particular signature that makes men hit on women. I don't know. You'd have to check Trump's chart for that, I think. I don't think there's one particular thing to do with that, but Neptune definitely is the planet that will cause illusion, delusion, or deception on the negative side, and on the positive side, it's a psychic connection. It's a really tricky planet to put into a couple of sentences. And that's the nature of what Neptune's all about. But it is our connection to a bigger thing than us. Uranus is about freedom. Pluto's about deep change and transformation. The outer planets are fascinating. I love them. So we've got 2 more minutes. Any questions from anybody? Thank you very much, Christy. Any questions from anybody else before we go?
Mary, could I ask quickly?
Of course you can, Amanda, darling, yes.
So I've got Uranus and Neptune in my first house.
Yo, what sign?
I'm Scorpio. It's my birthday today, actually.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Amanda. So is your ascendant Capricorn?
Sagittarius.
Sagittarius, right. Okay,
So I've got Neptune in Capricorn and Uranus in Sagittarius in my first house.
Right, okay. Uranus is about freedom, Neptune's about psychic connection, and your Neptune's in Saggy, did you say?
No, Capricorn.
Right, so Neptune's in Capricorn and your Uranus is in Saggy, yes?
Yeah.
Okay. You'd have to get a bit more specific about how many degrees they are and how conjunct, but in the first house, you really won't want to be told what to do. Okay. Uranus, forgetting about any other planet, anybody that's got Uranus in the first house, and I've got at least 2 friends with Uranus in the first house, just don't even bother telling them what to do. It's such a freedom-loving planet. You'll probably not want to do things the normal way either. And with that combo, that's what's called a little sort of stellium thing. Have you got a copy of Donna Cunningham's book on stelliums? If anybody wants that, just hit me up an email.
Thank you.
Yeah, so she'll tell you a bit more about that. But those are outer planets in your first house. I've got Pluto in the first house. It's much more tricky. Those are generational planets, and the first house is what we meet first. And I have to be aware of my Pluto in the first house, that I don't completely disempower and overpower people, which I know I am capable of. And in your case with the Uranus there, people might find it a little harder to actually know who you are. It's not a bad disguise though for a Scorpio, as it happens, because Scorpios don't really want to be found and discovered, and it's a lot more of a secretive sign. So, and the ascendant sign is Sagittarius. Yeah, okay. So interest in philosophy, long distance travel, further education, and higher learning. So there we go, learning astrology. You'll enjoy that.
Yeah, exactly.
Does that help?
Yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome, my sweet. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn the recording off. We can just hang about for another few more minutes and say goodbye. But if I'd like to say thank you very much for coming this evening. My name's Mary English. You can find me at www.maryenglish.com, maryenglish.co.uk, and UK Astrologer. I do teach astrology one-on-one. If you're interested in that, please ping me an email. Thank you. I'll just stop the recording.